Hey, gun people. It's a kind of an interesting case developing here. A Mesa officer was just arrested and charged with second-degree murder for shooting an unarmed guy. This is kind of odd in several ways. One is the person he shot was white, and normally they only do this politically when the person's black, even though it's totally blatant that it was a justified shoot. So the fact they're doing this when the suspect is white and they're not getting all this racial pressure says something about what they know. Second of all, the facts of the case are just amazing to me on how something so quick can go so bad. So, I mean, briefly, kind of what happened here is, let's see here, which one of these articles? Okay, so we have this Philip guy, 5 Facts You Need to Know, put out by the Heavy. .com. He begged for his life, please don't shoot. Yeah, okay. Everybody says don't shoot me before they shoot you. I've never seen any guilty person with a gun say don't shoot right before they try to kill somebody. So just because the guy begged, I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but that doesn't mean he's right. They got a supplemental report. Pretty interesting to read that. If you want to read that, it shows the officer that gets there, so he kind of explains what's on the video, even though the court has hidden the video. And then, what else do we say? Second fact here, he was one of the first officers to wear the body cam. However, they've suppressed the body camera image and won't let it come out. Looks like he might either have been or is a canine officer. You're fucked was inscribed on the shooting barrel. That's not real good. This picture right here, this is a dust cover on an AR-15, so when it's closed, you would not see this. But when you rack around, or if you shoot around in your dust-covered clothes, this flops open, and you see you're fucked. Is it the end of the world? No, but they're going to play it out like, you know, he wants to kill somebody now because he's so into it. These are the guns in the room that they were responding to the call. Here's a gun in the room. And here's a cop's uniform, kind of like just a body picture. They usually take the officer to see if there's any injuries or anything. And on their duty belt here, you can see his gun. Here's where he's got his keys, handcuff keys, card, keys to the PD, keys to the jail, keys to whatever he needs. 2 extra magazines here. A lot of times you'll have your baton on this side. He's got his taser here, a pouch here. Could be anything from a tablet to gloves to aid kit. His radio, his mic that comes from the radio that runs through. So, pretty standard stuff here. Back to this article, they're saying, he put "you're fucked" inscribed on his barrel, therefore, it was a violation of policy. So that's going to hurt the guy. He was in violation of policy. Did it affect what he did or how he did it? No, it won't mean anything. Let's see. He was a father. Oh, the shooter, the cop that was just arrested, his father is a retired lieutenant from this same PD. He used to work in internal affairs. So the media is going to be going, or the people that support the cops are going to be going after, the cops are after him because his dad worked internal affairs and they're just after his son. So that's going to be one side. The other side is going to be like, you know what, all crooks are cop, but he was in internal affairs. They probably were planting dope. Evidently, the guy was he was married and pursuing, before he became a cop, pursuing an actor. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Maybe showing he's a normal guy or showing that actors are weird. And then this is his wife that was testifying in court. And this is a pretty good little video, too, about people arguing that they wanted the guy to have bail. Because he was a cop and because he was in the performance of his duties and he wasn't out looking for kicks on a Saturday night, they actually gave him no bail, which I was kind of shocked. They released him on his own recognizance. I'm just shocked for second-degree murder. And normally when you're releasing somebody, what they need to judge is, are you a threat to the public and are you a flight risk? Those are the 2 things. Now, I'm a anti-big bail guy. I mean, when I was a cop, I used to get bail for $1 million, $2 million bucks on some of my people. The judges hand it out like candy. They don't give a shit. One time I went in there and they go, how much you want? And I go, I don't know. The DA said he wanted $1 million. He goes, I'll give you $2 million. And, so bail is nothing but a discretion, and it depends on how well the cop knows the judge and how much the judge is offended at the crime, and if the judge knows the defendant's family, or if the cop says, I don't really care. So, it's never, is the guy a real threat and is there a real flight risk? That's just what they tell the public. So this guy getting no bail. A lot of people are upset trying to complain because he's a cop. He's getting no bail. That's BS. He should be, you know. And there's one attorney in here who's a typical weasel attorney. That's her attorney. I think that's him standing behind her. And he goes up there and talks about all these other people who got $200,000 bail and no bail, and they were locked up. And, you know, this cop, he was never even arrested. Well, this cop wasn't out looking for kicks on a Saturday night just grabbing a gun going to shoot somebody. He was on duty in the performance of his duties. He was under the supervision of a sergeant. They were out in a call, and he was there because some dumbass was drunk pointing a gun out the window, and he got shot. Now, I know everybody's going to think I'm protecting the cops here, and I think the cop messed up, and I'll tell you why. I'll probably have to do a part 2, but there's some good videos here. Hopefully you can read the links on these different clicks. This is another fairly decent article where they talk about, you know, the judge on why he does this. His wife wants the body cam release. They showed the body cam to her. She says it was totally outrageous. They shot him. He was begging for his life. Well, she's a mother and a wife, and probably a scorned wife, and was probably told not to be too upset in order to get more money in a settlement when they sue the police department. So, of course, she's going to be like the poor grieving wife, and I'm sorry my husband was killed, and it may be legit, but then again, it may be, you know what? He was in another hotel room drunk with another woman while they were in a different state. Screw him. He was out screwing around on me. That's what most women would be, but she can't do that because now he's dead. So, so let's get to a couple video footage here of some of the actual footage on what happened here. And I've written down, because the cameras are long here, on kind of different things. So let's start this one here. We have 6 cops. This is your shooter and killer. This is the video you're watching. This is the guy that kills the guy. Now, he's got his gun, and this guy's got his gun pointed at the first floor elevator. The call is on the 5th floor, and they're pointing a gun on the elevator. I'm on the fence on this one. If you notice in the video, none of the other cops even have their guns out. But these two with long guns are clearing this elevator here, and especially the shooter is clearing this elevator like they're expecting some guy to jump out with a gun. Now, some cops going to go, well, you don't know if he got in the elevator, Rick. They haven't cleared it for him. Maybe the guy went from the fit. And you're right, it could have been, but the threat for this guy to be pointing a gun and to have 3 cops behind him with their guns in their holster just talking is not consistent. That's how you're going to get to the reasonableness. If it's reasonable for the officers to feel fear, why didn't they all feel fear? Why didn't they all have their gun out? Why weren't they all in a heightened state of awareness clearing corners, except for the guy with the long gun that ends up killing the guy? Good, bad, and different, both sides of the fence. You know, it is what it is.
Clear.
So he says it's clear. Notice none of these guys have their guns out. This guy looks pretty worried. He's like, whatever, dude. Why are you clear? This guy, I guarantee you, is thinking, man, dude's clearing the damn, got a rifle pointed at the damn elevator. We're on a 5th floor for some BS gun in a window call. This guy doesn't have his gun out. He's a sergeant. He's going to be directing the whole thing. So, you know, inconsistent states of fear is hard to say that why one officer felt one way and why the other ones didn't. Now, can one officer perceive a threat and the other ones not see it? It is, but you've got to be able to say what I saw that the other officers didn't see, or what I knew that the other officers didn't know. And my guess is all these guys know the same thing. So why is one guy pointing a long gun at the elevator clearing it, and the other guys are standing there with their hands in their pockets going, let's just get on the elevator and get to the 5th floor before we start clearing buildings? I know, I'm being mean to the cops. I know, whatever. All right, so they clear here. Where do we go next? I think we go to 635. Okay, so the sergeant. Okay, another thing we call a clue here. The guy who's the killer, I almost say killer, the cop who ended up killing the dude, only brought in 1 mag. So, although he's clearing the elevator when nobody else is clearing, now as he gets in the elevator, he's kind of deciding that I need more ammo. And I hated guys like this. I carried around all my shit, always had everything. Everybody knew I had everything. So when somebody needed something, they'd say, go to Gore. He'll have it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not bringing around all this shit and toting all around my shit so I can supply the rest of you lazy pieces of shit that don't want to bring your shit. But this cop brought 3 mags, and this officer, as he gets into the elevator, says, hey, how many mags you got? I only got 1. Why don't you give me 1? So the guy gives him 1. Is this bad, good, and different? It goes both ways. I mean, the guy in the elevator could be thinking tactically, hey, you know what? This could go bad. I only got 1 mag. Maybe I need 2 mags. We don't know how many suspects. I don't know what they know. Very key here. I don't know what they know. In the interview later and in the supplemental report, the cop in the elevator says, all I know there was a guy pointing a gun out the window on the 5th floor. That's all I know. Doesn't know if it's a rifle. Doesn't know if it's a pistol. So we're going after somebody that's armed. Is it a sniper out there killing? We don't have any shots fired call. We don't have anything else. There's a lot of problems I have with how they handled this, but I wasn't there and I'm second guessing, so it's easy for me to do that. But so the guy gets this extra mag.
Did you secure that elevator to prevent it from going up and down?
So,
I don't want you to go up to the 5th floor of the elevator. Exactly, because that elevator door opens right in front of you.
Okay, so they're talking about securing the elevator. I don't know if they're securing the stairwell. I mean, if you're going to secure the elevator, you ought to secure the damn stairwell. And to me, you would, by now, if you got there, you've got somebody up there. How many people were registered in a room? How many people should be in a room? Who got the call? Do we have, have we interviewed witnesses? I mean, it looks like they got a lot of cops there. Did they interview witnesses? Did they think about getting a spare key? They didn't, because when they go upstairs and they go, hey, send a guy downstairs to get his key to the room. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're going up to a room that you're about to make forced entry with guns, and you don't have a freaking key to the room? So, and somebody's going to say, well, you know what? Their intent wasn't to make entry. Their intent was to get the guy to come out. And when a guy didn't come out, that's why they needed the key. Well, okay. Half dozen, one or the other. I mean, I guess I'm being picky. Some will say I'm being picky. Some will say I'm being, more detail-oriented, that it's reasonable that I ought to have a damn key if I'm going up to the 5th floor and I might have to enter a room or open a door. Maybe the guy with the gun isn't going to voluntarily open the door. To me, that's a reasonable conclusion, but who knows? Maybe I'm not being reasonable. So let's go to 6:35, and I don't know what happens here, but I have it marked. Oh, okay. Now I'm right. You notice here, and he switches, and again, I think this is the shooter cam. I say shooter cam, the guy that killed him. Evidently, I missed it. Earlier, when the guy was up here, he had a left-handed hold on his gun, and his stock was on his left shoulder, and then he switched to his right shoulder, which moved him out into the doorway. If I'm on this side of the doorway, I'm having my gun on the left side. See this guy? He's got his gun on the right side because he's on that side. This guy should have his gun on the left side. Now, some people aren't working. Okay, this is where they get into getting a guy out, which, again, I'm not impressed. I've got some, it looks like I'm getting close to the end here, but when you're doing any type of hostage negotiation or you're contacting a suspect, the last thing you want to be doing is yelling at a distance, because it makes you yell, it makes the suspect yell, it increases the chance of somebody not understanding or mixing words or not hearing. So it's a really poor way. The guy's in a room with a phone. Why don't you freaking have a phone or call? Why don't you have a key to the room next to him that you can have a guy pick up the phone and call his room and say, hey guy, who's in the room? Let me talk to you. Why don't you come out? It makes it less stressful. Face-to-face contact is the best way to communicate. There's my little alarm. To communicate with somebody in a hostage situation. And then the next best way, I guess, is phone. And then the last way is with a bullhorn or yelling down a hallway. So they're doing the absolute worst way to contact the guy. Rick, you're just picking on him. Not everybody's perfect like you. I know people are going to be. I'm just trying to get people to understand that when you look at things, there's different ways to look at it. All right, so I'm going to have to end this here because I'm in YouTube jail, and I'll do a part 2.